And the topic I would like to talk about is the Lucidarium of Comenius. My presentation is just a part of a research. We do it as a research group here in Sárospatak. It's not finished, so to be honest, I have more questions than answers right now, but I would like to present the stage where I am right now. So the Comenius arrived in Sárospatak in 1650 and spent 4 years in Hungary. He worked for the Reformed College of Sárospatak. He was director of education here, and his aim was to reform the whole school. He had the possibility to write his important pedagogical works here in Sárospatak, and also to put these ideas into practice. He had a significant support from the Rákóczi family, the landlords of Sárospatak, and also, this time, the Prince of Transylvania was also a Rákóczi. Comenius, when he arrived to Sárospatak, had an aim to have a printing press in Sárospatak, and several of his important works were published here. The Vestibulum, the Janua has 3 editions from Sárospatak, the Atrium, the Schola Ludus. He had several public lectures which were also published, and also proof prints of the Lucidarium. These were very important steps towards to the Pan-Sophic school, which aimed to reform the education and reach the world peace. Basically, the first question is, what is the Lucidarium? The Lucidarium is the original project title of the Orbis Pictus, the most important work of Comenius, which was in use in the European education for more than 250 years. We have 3 different variants of the proof print of the Lucidarium. The one on the picture is in England. It's published by Turnbull. That's from the Hartlib Archive. That is the first chronologically. It was published in 1653, but it lacks the place and the name of the printer. There are also some notes on it, and those are from Comenius. He changed, he corrected the title from Vestibuli et Janue Linguarum Lucidarium. It became Encyclopediola Sensualium ad Ocularem Demonstrationem Deducta. The second uh, proof print is from Sárospatak. It was described by Hungarian researcher József Bakos in 1966. It lacks the first page. It has a lot of similarities in compared with this, the first, the English proof print, but there are different pages too. It's a second stage, basically a corrected version of the first one. And in 2018, our restorer called a colleague to identify some prints she found in the binding of a volume, and those were the proofs I called the second Sárospatak version. That is a finished version from 1654. It's a corrected one. It has basically the whole or almost the whole first leaf of the book. It was ready to print. It has also the name of the publisher there and the place, Sárospatak there. Because I would like to mention it briefly that there was a paper from Helmut Rosenfeld who wanted to point out that the first two proof prints were printed in Hamburg, but he was Nuremberg, sorry, but that was completely false way, I think. So the two questions I have is if the Lucidarium was used in Sárospatak, and basically if it was used and if it was printed, because both of them are quite important. Uh, there's an article from 1972 published by Mészáros István, a Hungarian researcher, who argues that the Lucidarium was used in a manuscript form in Sárospatak. He bases on several of the works of Comenius, also on the fragment from the Hartley papers, the Opera Omnia, and also on the Sárospatak edition of the Schola Ludus. I will tell his argument a little bit later detailed, but there's also another part in the farewell speech of of Comenius in Sárospatak, where he wrote that I'm leaving here my unique book, the Lucidarium, which would be of a great service for the pupils and the teachers too. Sorry, my translation here is has a mistake. So he's leaving there a book, which is which would be a great use for everybody. It couldn't be a fragment. That's a whole book. And the other is the part of the Schola Ludus published in Sárospatak in 1656. The question is with the Schola Ludus is how close this conversation, which depicts the school life to the reality. If Comenius strives to portray the reality in every situation, then the school life in Sárospatak was described as in the Schola Ludus. And the text here, the Deus and the Mundus, they are chapters of the Lucidarium fragment from Sárospatak. Exactly the text of the second version, the finished one. It shows also that the Schola Ludus and the Lucidarium, he worked on both of them in the same time, but it also shows that they used the book there. And the other, this is the main title, the title page of the third fragment. The book the students are reading is exactly the Lucidarium. There's the question in the text, quid libri est, and Telesius, the teacher, answers that encyclopedia sensualium hoc est omnium fundamentalium in mundo rerum, etc. So exactly the title of or almost the title of the fragment. Comenius refers quite often to the work as encyclopedia, or in a diminutive form encyclopediola. So it's exactly the book they use. The fragment is exactly the book what the students are using. There are pro and contra arguments. That's why I said that I have more questions than answers right now. Uh, as I mentioned, the school in the text he mentions a book what they are reading, Qui Libri Est. So it could be understood, I think, that it's also a print. There are the three different proofs in the world. The two of them are in Sárospatak, one is in England. So why did anybody do this if there's not no serious aim to print it, if it's only a technical demonstration? The second Sárospatak proof print is a finished sheet A. And also there are some signs that a new etcher came from Trenchin to Sárospatak because of the Lucidarium. Why is this whole process if the book is not published finally? In the Opera Omnia, there's this page, and here Comenius writes about his books published. And in the line 8, paragraph 8, sorry, he mentions that all of these books are published except the laws of the school. And in line 7, there's also the Lucidarium mentioned. And we should take it into consideration that the Opera Omnia was published in 1657 and the Nuremberg edition of the Orbis Pictus only in 1658. So it wouldn't be possible to write about it as a published book if there's no edition before the first Nuremberg edition. And what is also an important argument that there's a catchword on the end of the sheet A of the second Sárospatak fragment, which indicates that there was also sheet B somewhere. There's also another evidence. There was an important librarian in Sárospatak called Szombati János. He's, by the way, a translator of Comenius too. He did a new translation of the Orbis Pictus into Hungarian and published it in the early 19th century. He knew very well the Opera Omnia and he had access to the fragmented archive of the college. So he had a lot of sources. And he wrote a monograph about the history of the Reformed College of Sárospatak. And on this, there's this line 8, Orbis sensualium pictus seu vestibuli et januae linguae latinae lucidarium, which is exactly the title or the shortened title of the second fragment from Sárospatak. In this way, the title never appears, only here in this, but not in the other sources somebody knew. So there's a chance that there was something, a fragment or a book in the hand of somebody. In the other hand, I already checked the old catalogs of the library, and there's no evidence that this book is there. So maybe he saw it somewhere elsewhere. There are also contra-arguments. Comenius notes a lot of things in the Opera Omnia. Here's a nota bene where he is telling that there was no good etcher and because of this, it was impossible to publish the Orbis Pictus in Sárospatak, and finally it was published in Nuremberg. There's this etching here. This ornament appears in the second Sárospatak fragment, and there's only one parallel to this. Earlier, it was used by the printing press of the Breton in Trenchin, and it disappears after it arrives to Sárospatak. It's quite similar, but not exactly this tool arrived to Sárospatak. So I suppose that there was an etcher who moved from Trenchin to Sárospatak, and take it into the consideration that Comenius was also a bishop of the Breton. He was able to call the gentleman to Sárospatak to help the Sárospatak printing press out. By the way, there's another important part I did not mention earlier about this. Daniel Fabius, who was a rector of the school of Kremnitz, who also tells that it's much more better than the Vestibulum and the Janua, the Lucidarium. So there was a whole text what he saw, and the Comenius writes about it. And some other contra arguments. There's this note in the Hartlips archive. The catalog of those books which were sent from Comenius to Hartlib a few years ago and which were printed in Hungary. And there are the list of the books which were not sent to Hartlib until the February of 1656. And the problem is with this list, here's the Lucidarium, here's also the Schola Ludus, and also the Lexicon Artiel Latino. So the problem is with the second line, because the Schola Ludus was published in Sárospatak, and we even know the story how the book arrived to Comenius, to Hartley. Here's another fragment, also from the Opera Omnia, and Comenius describes the story. There was a plague in pastor in the northeastern Hungary, and Comenius was really afraid that the manuscript disappears in Sárospatak, but there were some students sent by the Prince of Transylvania to Amsterdam, to Netherlands, to a peregrinatio, and they took the Schola Ludus with themselves and visited Comenius with the book and got also the volume. So that shows that in contrary to this note, the Schola Ludus finally arrived to Comenius. And if there was a printed Lucidarium, it's a very important argument that why it did not arrive with the Schola Ludus to Comenius. So basically, this is, I think, the most important argument against that there's if the whole book was published in Sárospatak. And there's one other letter from Comenius to Petrus Montanus, where he writes that the Orbis Sensualium Pictus was published in Nuremberg by Michael Enter 3 times. So the argument is the sentence is clear, but it's not telling that there was no prior example of this Lucidarium. This is the third fragment what we have. This is what is under what is the basis of our research. Basically, we have 4 fragments of the Lucidarium. It was glued together and used as a cardboard, as a cover of a book. We have some similarities about the ways the second and the third Sárospatak, the first and the second Sárospatak fragments appeared, and because of this, we have a significant chance to find some other fragments. And that's what we are doing now, visiting libraries and hunting for a certain book. And we hope that we are going to find a leaf B, and that would strengthen the idea that there was also a whole Lucidarium once, but it's a manual for quite little students. It gets wrinkled, and finally, if the edition is limited, there's a chance that it just disappeared. But these are still questions. So thank you very much for your attention.